A wise old scholar sat before a group of young students under the shade of a great olive tree. The air smelled of dust and parchment, and the hum of the marketplace echoed in the distance. He adjusted his robes, gazed at his eager audience, and began to speak. The old scholar speaks to the students. Old scholar, my children, listen well, for I will tell you a tale older than the stones beneath our feet, a tale of men and their kingdoms, of power and its decay, of wisdom and its neglect. Long ago, in the heart of the desert, there was a tribe. They had nothing but their camels, their spears, and their unbreakable unity. Life was harsh, the sun merciless, the water scarce. And yet they were strong, not because they had riches, but because they had each other. They called it Asabia, the bond of loyalty and blood, the spirit that made them one. One day they looked to the great cities beyond the dunes, cities of stone filled with merchants and rulers draped in silk. Why should they rule while we struggle, the tribesmen asked. And so they rode as one, their unity stronger than the walls before them. They conquered the city, took its throne and crowned their leader as king. But mark my words, my children, power does not last forever. The old scholar continues his tale. Old scholar. The first generation of rulers remembered the hardships of the desert. They ruled with wisdom, discipline, and strength. They still lived simply, their hearts uncorrupted by gold. They expanded the kingdom, brought justice to the land, and for a time, all was well. The second generation was different. Born in palaces, they never knew hunger. They wore fine robes and drank from golden cups. They still had the fire of their fathers, but already something had changed. The third generation, they were soft. They had never held a sword except for ceremony, never fought in battle, never seen the suffering of their people. They surrounded themselves with poets, musicians and flatterers who whispered to them that they were greater than their ancestors. The old ways were forgotten. They feasted while their soldiers starved. The old scholar's voice grows somber. And then on the horizon, another tribe appeared. Just as hungry, just as united as their forefathers had once been. They saw a kingdom full of weakness and greed, and so they conquered as their ancestors had, riding with the fury of the desert winds. The old kingdom fell, and the cycle began again. You see, my children, history moves in circles, not lines. A people rise with strength, rule with wisdom, grow fat with luxury, and collapse into dust, only for another to take their place. This is the way of the world. Ibn Khaldūn, the great scholar of our time, wrote of this truth in his Muqaddimah, the most profound book ever written on the rise and fall of civilizations. The old scholar imparts wisdom. What Ibn Khaldūn teaches us is this. All civilizations follow a pattern. The rise of a strong, united group seizes power through their discipline and courage. The Golden Age. They build, they expand, and they create wonders. The decline, luxury and greed make them forget the struggles that made them strong. The fall, a new group, hungry and disciplined, takes their place. And so the cycle continues. The mighty become weak, the weak become mighty, and the pages of history turn once more. But this is not all he taught us. Ibn Khaldūn also spoke of governance. He warned that a ruler who overtaxes his people will not make them wealthier, but will drive them into ruin. A king who builds his empire on force alone will see it crumble when his strength fades. A leader who surrounds himself with flatterers and ignores wise counsel is digging his own grave. He told us that history is not just a story, it is a science. If we study the past with open eyes, we can predict the future. The fate of kingdoms, the rise of new powers, the downfall of the mighty, these things do not happen by chance. They happen because of laws, patterns and causes that we can understand. But what of the arts? What of wisdom and learning? Ibn Khaldūn saw this too. He knew that when an empire is at its height, its people turn to beauty. They build libraries and schools. They compose poetry and philosophy. They debate the stars, the soul, and the mysteries of the universe. But as the kingdom weakens, knowledge fades. The once great minds of the city grow lazy, speaking only of the past, never of the future. The sciences decay, the libraries empty, and ignorance spreads like a sickness. Only in times of struggle is knowledge truly valued, for it is then that men seek understanding to escape their fate. You may ask, what kind of ruler can stop this cycle? Ibn Khaldūn answered, a caliph in the truest sense rules not for himself but for justice. A sultan rules by might, but must keep the balance of wealth and fairness. A ruler who listens to his people, who fears God more than gold, may delay the decay of his empire. But even he cannot escape the laws of history forever. And yet, we are not doomed to mindless repetition. Knowledge is power. If a people remember their past, they may prepare for the future. If they recognize the signs of decline, they may correct their path. Ibn Khaldūn's wisdom is not a curse, it is a guide. The great scholar wrote that civilizations rise from the deserts, grow into empires, and die in the palaces they built. The question, my children, is this: will we learn, will we break the cycle, or will we too be forgotten in the sands of time? Only those who remember history shall have a future. The old scholar falls silent. The young students sit in awe, their minds filled with the echoes of fallen empires and the wisdom of a man who had seen it all before. The wind whispers through the olive tree, rustling the pages of an open book in the scholar's lap, the book called the Muqaddimah, Fade Out, the End.